Well, we went to Lowe's and we saw that they are selling a set of 3 ornaments for $279, and we decided to make our own and save money. We've made this one today for $12. Most of the supplies were purchased at the local dollar store, with the exception of Gorilla Glue sticks and the spray paint. Painted the wreath form with this high performance paint. I did add the spacer, but in the end I ended up taking it off. It is useful at the start of the project though. Use this white string of lights from the local Dollarama. Make sure your lights work before you get started. So each little bar takes about 3 zip ties to secure the lights to the inside. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, we appreciate your support and kindly subscribe. Thank you. So I'm just making sure that the end where the plug is firmly secured at the top, just putting a zip tie through the top to hold it securely, and then I do add an additional one to be the hanger. The string of 50 lights was a perfect size for the hoop. I couldn't believe it, but it just turned out to be exactly the right size. Dollar Tree does sell decorative mesh in white. I am going to use just supplies I had left over, some scraps, just to use it up and make use of all our materials. Use Gorilla Glue. It has a far superior hold than traditional glue stick glue. So I run the Gorilla Glue just along the 3D wreath form. Try not to get it onto the string of lights. And don't press down with your finger. You have to use something, a silicone spatula. I'm using the scissors, something just so that you don't burn yourself. And just doing 4 or 5 inches at a time. Otherwise, the glue will set up before you have a chance to lay the decorative mesh down. So you can see here how I'm laying the seam right onto the wire itself. For one, it'll hide the seam, and it just has a firmer edge right along there, so it makes a really good edge to run along. As you go, put the little nibs from the zip ties, turn them to the inside, and go right up to the point of the ornament, and maybe just, 1/4 inch past, and then press down with the scissors or your spatula right to the top. You want a really good hold all the way across. So now you can see here, I'm just making sure I have enough mesh here to cover the whole section. You can kind of think of it as like little sections of orange. We're going to do one section at a time. So when you're setting down the mesh on the second row, kind of pull it tautly so that you don't get puckers in the mesh. So just pull back the mesh a little bit just so you can see where you left off. Do another 4 or 5 inches. Pull it tautly, set it down, and then press with, your scissors, your spatula, what have you, to just get a good bond. So just continue to work your way down the whole section, again, pulling tautly, just to get good connection. Just were amazed by how much more affordable it was to do on your own by making it yourself. The supplies are largely from the Dollar Tree, and I'm like, how affordable is that? And, it looks great. I think it looks better than the original. What do you think? So one section is completely glued. Now I'm going to take the scissor and just run it along the edge just to trim up the surplus that's hanging over. So this is the procedure for each section as we go along. Glue it down little 4 or 5 inches at a time, and then trim off the excess once a section is complete. So I'm just starting here on the second segment of the ornament. Basically work all the way around the whole ornament 1 row at a time. So once you have the second segment all glued down, you very carefully run your scissor along the edge of your seam, cutting off the excess. Now be very careful not to poke your scissor through this section that you've just completed, and just kind of work your way around. Now I don't see very well, and somehow I managed it just kind of doing it by feel, so I'm sure you'll be able to do much better than I did, and it still looks good. You just carry on doing the same thing all the way around the entire ornament. Just when you're working at the top, just kind of work the mesh around your little hanger there. You need it to stay sticking out. So be careful not to cover it up or the plug to plug it in. When you're down to just having one segment left to do, give it a little shake. You might have some debris, you might have some little mesh, you might have a little glue stick, strings and whatnot. So just give it a little bit of a shake and pull out any strings that you can see. Well, look at that. We have it made. Now we get to do the fun stuff. I really love the decorating, and let's decorate. So I'm going to use rhinestones and add a lot of bling and make it very pretty. So the rhinestones do have adhesive on the back, and I don't trust it. It doesn't really hold firmly. So I'm going to use just a Gorilla Glue stick and glue down each little segment of rhinestones. I decided just to run along each of the metal bar just to, it'll reinforce the mesh, although it's holding very well, but it'll also just cover up your seam and just make it look really, really pretty. So I just ask you to be really kind. I have trouble seeing, and a straight line is near impossible for me. But anyway, I did it, so anyone can do it. So I'd like to have a really nice kind of star pattern on the bottom. So I kind of left the very bottom till the end, and I'm just going to match up the little rhinestone pathways across the bottom. And get this all lined up to a point. I think it's going to just have a really nice finish. Well, that's looking pretty good. Let's move on to the next step. Time for some more bling bling. Let's get out the rhinestones and snowflakes, and we're going to just attach a rhinestone to the center of a snowflake. Just add a little something something. There's little hanger circles at the top of the snowflake, so I'm just going to snip them off. I'm just going to add some hot glue and glue a rhinestone into the center of each snowflake. I was just going to make mention that the white is very luminescent, and it really makes it glow at night. Decided to hot glue them in a circle around the middle. Don't want to overdo the hot glue in this case because you don't want it to drip inside. And then just do your best to center each of the snowflakes as you go around. I got these snowflakes from Dollar Tree, and they're the perfect size and work well with the 3D wreath form. Well, I think it's looking lovely, but it needs just a little something special. I decided to add some of the larger rhinestones on each side of the snowflake. And then I had some half pearls, which I attached to just some of the snowflakes. I didn't want to overdo it, so just here and there, every second one or so, I added a few of the half pearls, and it was just the finishing touch I think it needed. I can't believe how great it turned out. It looks wonderful. I think it's beautiful. We saved money and we created something really magical this Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this video, and then most of all, I hope you give it a try. And I'll just share some pictures at the end here just so you can have a good look at what we created together today.